Hello everyone, it's me, Anthony Coach, a guitarist on YouTube. I've been using the internet for a long time. I've spoken to a lot of guitarists in YouTube comments and Instagram posts, and before that Facebook groups, and before that MySpace, and before that website message boards, and before that I used to have to write "I love Paul Gilbert" on a bit of paper, tie it to a pigeon's leg and send it on its way to anonymous guitarists around the world. I don't know where that's going, but that, you get what I mean. I've spoken to a lot of guitarists and I see the conversation between guitarists all the time. And you might relate to this, but I've seen this conversation happen so many times. Usually when someone's asking about a bit of gear, I want to get this tone, I want to change pickups, I want to try different strings, what kind of tone want I get? I want the latest Marshall amp, I need this pedal. And then it isn't very long before someone comes in with the immortal phrase, well actually tone is all in the fingers. First of all, I want to just put the bottom line of this entire video out there at the beginning. I agree with that sentiment. I agree, tone is in the fingers. But I think there's some confusion within that. I certainly used to be confused about it. I used to think it was just about tone, making the guitar, the actual tone of the guitar sound different. When what I think people who say that are really getting at is technique. They're getting mixed up. Tone and technique, they do go hand in hand, but they are slightly different. So before I actually get going, if you actually want to spend thousands and thousands on the latest gear, you know, that pedal, that amp, the pickups, the strings, whatever, go for it. If you think it makes you a better player, then it probably is making you a better player, so do it. What I do want you to consider though is, you know, not to overlook the fact that maybe what you're hearing isn't tone. The thing that you want to emulate might not well be tone, it might be the technique. What if I were to take a selection of some of the greatest guitarists, most celebrated guitarists of all time, playing their most celebrated guitar solos? What about this one for starters? How many message boards or MSN chat rooms back in the day, or I don't know, pen pals, have you come across where people have been talking about Dave Gilmour's tone and how to get it, and then someone comes in with that phrase, his tone is all in the fingers. When you see him playing that solo, there is so much technique going on. It makes perfect sense that someone would hear that and think that if you buy that guitar and that amp and whatever pedals are there, that you would match that tone. And all that you're going to be doing there is setting yourself up for disappointment. There is, of course, that cliche argument of, you know, if you give Dave Gilmour a Squier Strat and a 15-watt Marshall amp, he'd still get the same tone. Do I agree with that? No, I don't. It would sound very different, but he would still be employing the techniques that make all his phrases sound as they are. I mean, I'm not going to try and match some of the world's best players here, but if you come in with something like, just play a handful of notes like that with no articulation, I truly believe that there is no pedal on earth, there's no amplifier on earth, no strings, no plectrum that is going to take that to the level of your heroes, of your influences. Doesn't matter. There's not a lot going on there. It's all in the subtleties. When people say tone is all in the fingers, that's what I take it to mean. Articulation, the subtle stuff. The subtle stuff is the last thing to come. You practice all your super shred stuff. You know, when people talk about technique, guitar technique, all right, it must be sweep picking then. Must be 3/0 per string stuff then. No. Things like bends, slides, vibrato. As a quick example, just making every single note have something about it. That's not the work of a pedal. It's definitely not the work of an amp. It is in the fingers, but it doesn't change the tone. It's not the voice of the instrument. The tone is being manipulated a bit more by the technique. And if I'm going to talk about someone who uses a lot of technique to manipulate the tone, then I have to show you this solo. Well, there you go. Man who needs no introduction. Known for playing a few different styles, but let's say rock, blues rock. That fast attack has a massive effect on your tone, muting all those strings. I mean, look at him, he's on his knees playing these solos quite clean, even in the throes of passion. Sounds a bit weird, but he's just playing that guitar, he's not doing anything else to it. But in the throes of passion, he's on his knees, he's full on giving it beans, but it's quite clean what he's playing. That's my terrible Jimi Hendrix impression, but listen to what effect that has on the tone. There's no pedal that's going to emulate that. To buy a pedal and to not take into consideration all that clever muting, that left hand and right hand muting that players like Jimi Hendrix employ all the time to get that snappy sound. If this is the main thing. I've not got a script for this video today, but you know, I don't want to ramble too much. But if you want to take anything away from this video, I want you to just think: do I really want to match the tone? Or is it more that I'm liking those techniques that control stuff like this, which sounds a world away from, especially when you add vibrato. That is complete technique. And I honestly believe that if your amp isn't Jimi Hendrix's signature amp and you're not using a signature Strat which has been strung the opposite way to, you know, to get the string tension in the right places. I know I've heard of that, you know, the low E's on the high E string or something. I'm not a tech or even tone hound. I don't care about that stuff. Harsh to say it because I know a lot of you do, but I don't. That's fine. If you have all that gear, it's not going to make you sound like Jimi Hendrix. Again, that sounds like such a cliche phrase, but I think it gets overlooked and there is confusion. It's technique. Tone in the fingers doesn't mean it changes the voice. It manipulates the tone that you do have to get it sounding the same as your hero. Speaking of heroes, here's a clip from what I deem to be one of the greatest guitar solos ever caught on camera, to the point where I will literally fist fight anyone who disagrees with me. The man himself, whatever you think about him, is fine. For me, he is the hero. The hero. So you listen to that and you think, okay, I want the gear that is going to make me sound like that. It just doesn't exist. Every single note that he's playing there, the ones that he's actually giving enough time to, is manipulated. Taking what Jimi Hendrix did in thinking, well, am I going to play this? No, I'm not going to play that. I'm going to play wide vibrato. No one can match Ingves vibrato, the greatest vibrato on the planet. Still try. it's not going to happen. Get the amp as close as you can to the tone. I mean, I just press gain. I press the button that says gain and turn the knob that says gain. Oh, a bit too much, turn it down. That's me done. That's me done. And I try and match what I'm listening to by technique alone. You'll be surprised by how close you can get it. Also by the variation of sounds you can get just by thinking about wide vibrato versus narrow vibrato, bending the strings. Don't mix up technique and theory, technique and tone. Definitely don't mix up technique, tone or theory, the three of them together. Then, you know, you won't know what day of the week it is. But definitely don't mix up technique and tone like I did for way too long. You'll get by with the gear you've got. People love an argument. I think it's all friendly arguing. No, I'm going to stick with argumenting. I like that word. I think it's all friendly argumenting in comments and stuff when people talk about this, because there are other people on the other side of the fence who are like, no, you have to get the gear in order to sound like your hero. That's fine. Go and watch someone else's video who's making that argument and they might sway you the other way. This is just my opinion, but I want to know what your opinion is. And I like you so much, in fact, that I would like you to join a Facebook group, a small, tiny little Facebook group. The link is in the description. It's the Couch Potatoes Guitar Community, where you will find other like-minded guitarists who like to talk about guitar stuff. We would love to see you there. Come and introduce yourself. Tell us what guitars you play. Tell us your favourite song. Tell us what you had for breakfast. We don't care. There are some incredible names that are going to pop up at the side here. And they are wonderful people who support me on Patreon, where there's one exclusive thing that you can get on Patreon. Check out the Patreon link if you want to. I'm Anthony Couch. Here is a bad impression of Jimi Hendrix while those names pop up at the side, and I will see you in the next video. Can play, you know, I just don't warm up before these videos.